Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome to a different video today. Obviously, international break, you have to improvise. You have to improvise with the content, and you can't just keep making news videos about your club all the time because those get dry, those get stale, and half of those are just rumors. So today we're doing Premier League team of the season so far. I know, such an original video, right? It's definitely not because everyone else is doing it on YouTube, but I thought I'd give my own take on it as well. But anyway, let's get into it. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Thank you for 600 subscribers. I must say again, I said it on the video, I said it on my social medias as well, but thank you so much for 600 subscribers. We hit 500 in August, so really grateful for everyone that subscribed and everyone that supported, all the content creators that let me on their channel, and all the content creators that have been on my channel as well. Everyone that shouted me out, everyone that's left a comment in the chat and on a video as well. Even if you disliked the video, I liked the video, I hate comment, it doesn't matter. It all counts at the end of the day. We're trying to hit 1K as soon as possible, people. If you want to follow me on social medias, it's at GVO Mikes on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. But anyway, I thought I'd cheat the system when it comes to this, because it's my rules, it's my fucking channel. We're doing 4-2-2 formation. There's no wingers. I've gone 2 number 10s, and I'll explain why later on. And I thought I'd give my own take on this as well. Obviously, we kind of did this on Shameless FC on Lewis's channel as well, like in the last international break. So there's that as well. But I wanted to go with an updated one, and give my own take on a few things as well. If it's controversial, leave your team of the seasons in the comments below as well. But let's get straight into the goalkeeper. I've gone with Matt Sells from Nottingham Forest, people. Now, I don't think there's many goalkeepers that have actually stood out this year. I actually think, the better goalkeepers could have been better. Obviously, Kelleher's had a good season when he's coming for Alisson, but he hasn't really played the whole season. Edison could be a bit better. I think Martinez from Aston Villa could be a bit better, although I do think he's overall probably one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I think David Raya is a contender for this as well. I think Robert Sanchez had a good start to the season, but then the real Robert Sanchez stood up and became Robert Sanchez all over again. Honourable mention for Bart Verbruggen from Brighton as well. Really come into his own since becoming a first-choice goalkeeper under this manager. Obviously, after De Zerbi kind of put him and Jason Steele as a competition sort of thing for the first place. But Matt Sells has really stood out in terms of the fact that I don't really rate him, but every time he really, really gets tested, he actually stands up and shows that he can turn up in big moments, etc. as well. Mainly to do, obviously, with what goalkeepers should be known for, shot stopping. I don't like complimenting a goalkeeper for his shot stopping because I feel like that's what you should be known for. However, you can't deny how good this guy has been this season. And maybe Forest have finally settled on a goalkeeper that they actually like. Even though for some reason I have a feeling that knowing them, they'll go and buy Kelleher next year because Kelleher's going to leave next season. But speaking of Nottingham Forest, let's stay on Nottingham Forest. I've gone with Ola Aina. I could be biased and put Wan-Bissaka in this. I could have said Kenny Tete as well. I think Kenny Tete's been top for Fulham. Shout out Wan-Bissaka as well. Mazzarari's been good for Man United. You could argue Trent for Liverpool, even though I could think in certain games he could be better. I don't think Ben White's been good enough. I don't think Kyle Walker's been good at all for Man City. I don't think Gusto has been off the level because it's a whole new system. He's getting used to the new system and stuff like that as well. But Ola Aina, again, Nottingham Forest, they're where they are for a reason. Yes, they did lose to Newcastle on the last game before the international break. However, Ola Aina's top, playing both sides of the fullback, can really play well with both feet, attacking and defending. Yes, he can be quiet at times. Any defender can be quiet, but come on, like this guy, the attacking threat and defensive threat that he offers, he's been a big part of that back four that's played well throughout the season for them in terms of Murillo, Milinkovic, and Alex Moreno as well. So Forest have stayed organised in defence for the most part for a good part of the season. They even won at Anfield as well. They battered us, of course. They've got Arsenal next. We'll see how they do with that. I don't think they'll win that game. However, they've had a top season, and Ola Aina's been a key part of that. I've always rated Ola Aina since he was on loan at Fulham. Obviously, West Ham nearly signed him. That's a story that he even said on his podcast. And now he's taunting us in the changing rooms when they beat us. But I guess that's how football works. But Big up to Ola Aina, of course. Great balanced right back. Can play wing back, can play both sides, can play on the wing, can do what he wants really. Um, Centre back, the first centre back that I'm going to go for by far. This guy is by far for me been the best centre back of the Premier League this season. Ibrahima Konate. It's not even close. For me, it's not even close. Van Dijk has been terrific as well, and so have the two Arsenal centre backs. So has the two Nottingham Forest centre backs as well. But when it comes to Arnie Slot, he's added a little bit of pragmatism, whilst also, still pressing, but more compact in defence, and they know how to see out games as well. Just the physicality of having Van Dijk and Konate together is genuinely a fucking cheat code. Konate doesn't get beat for pace. He doesn't get beat when it comes to getting out strength. He's just very good at reading the game as well. Very good with the ball. Like, very good in the air as well. Like, what more do you want? The guy is actually low-key a little bit underrated. But I also do think the system helps him more than it does the Jurgen Klopp system, where you can get quite exposed a lot when it comes to Jurgen Klopp system, especially when the midfield is unbalanced. With this system, obviously it's a bit more of a double pivot rather than a lone 6 and 2 8s. I think that didn't help when they didn't have a natural number 6 last season. But yeah, people need to put respect on Konate's name. I'm glad he's getting the props that he deserves, and that's why Liverpool are where they are, and why they've been the best defense in the league so far. And I don't see him really like faltering unless he gets injured again, which we know he's prone to injuries. Going to the other centre back, I've gone with an Arsenal centre back, Gabriel. I think Gabriel still, like, despite Arsenal's dip, still deserves this place. The only real mistake I can really think of was the goal against Newcastle before Alexander Isak. I will say he wasn't great against Inter Milan, but this is Premier League team of the season. I think also the system does help Gabriel and Saliba to do what they do. And same with Konate in the Liverpool situation. I could have gone with Van Dijk. Don't get me wrong. I could have gone with Van Dijk. But I just wanted to be fair as possible. So Van Dijk could have been in here. So if you're angry that Van Dijk isn't here, I completely understand you. But Gabriel, in terms of obviously scoring as well, a couple goals, but just his natural defensive awareness, his aggression. He knows how to control his aggression as well. You don't really see this guy get a red card. I'm sure he's had a red card for Arsenal before. I think he had a red card like in the lockdown season, but that was a long time ago. But he obviously they benefit off each other, Saliba and Gabriel. Very good in the air, very good at tackling. He can be go out taking down a channel with a high line, but listen, like anyone can be go out, putting his body on the line, etc. as well. But yeah, overall, I still think he's been great, despite Arsenal's recent form. Left back. I've gone with someone who I've rated for years, and he had a little bit of a dip last season, but he's gone back to his normal self when Fulham came back to the Premier League. And even when Fulham were originally in the Premier League in that season when they got relegated under Parker, this guy was still showing glimpses of what he could be. And I've gone with Anthony Robinson. Anthony Robinson. I like Robinson. I've always liked Robinson. He can be good defensively, but overall, he's done his job very well. His combination playing with Iwobi, Reece Nelson, and Smith Rowe, and Adama Traore, whoever's playing on the left, like he's just shown what kind of a threat he is when he plays his natural game as a modern day fullback. Running up and down on the touchline and stuff. He's basically a wing back. Marco Silva loves to utilize his fullbacks out wide and making overlapping runs constantly as well. But yeah, Anthony Robinson's been so key to what Fulham are doing. Like Fulham will probably be like around mid-table, but they're taking teams by surprise. If they get Europe this season, I don't think they will, but if they get Europe this season, Anthony Robinson will be a big part of that. And I think he's just such a threat going out wide. Like they always use that diagonal pass from Joachim Anderson to Anthony Robinson. That's kind of how Marco Silva plays anyway, but they're really playing to the best of their abilities and getting the best out of the main attributes of every Fulham player that they have. And yeah, Robinson, dangerous crosser as well. You can cross a ball. One of the few people that can cross a ball in the Premier League. And when it comes to low crosses as well. I could have put Cucurella in this as well. Shout out to Cucurella as a honourable mention. Milos Kerkez as well. Shout out to Milos Kerkez. Alex Moreno from Forest as well. Those are shouts. Gavardio. Like these are shots. There's quite a few good left backs this season, but I've gone with Robinson because for me he stood out the most. Now, obviously, as I said, I've gone 4-2-2. So I've gone with like two DMs and then two number 10s and two strikers. Uh, so my first one, Moises Caicedo. Caicedo has been great in 2024 in general. Um, Improved like game in game out since he's been at Chelsea. Every game he's pretty much like risen to the big occasions, kind of made every game his own. He literally ran the midfield on his own, in my opinion, against Arsenal. Lavia was great, don't get me wrong, but Caicedo was the main guy running that midfield, destroying the midfield. When it comes to winning the ball back, being physical, and then his passing, just letting the ball go forward and stuff like that as well. He's been absolutely magnificent. I can't lie. Um, it doesn't surprise me because this is the same guy we saw at Brighton. And in a proper system that actually gets the best out of him, like it's not similar to the Zerbi system, Maresca's, but it's possession based, and he's very good at destroying like teams trying to hit them on a transition when it comes to Brighton and Chelsea. He's got the physicality, he's got the reading of the game. He can be rash at times because he's listen, South Americans always trash, always rash. Sorry, I don't even know if he's South American, but you know what I mean. Um, Always quite rash, but physically, he still knows how to control his aggression at times. Win the ball back, pass the ball forward, and then the other team are in transition, and they could create a chance. Um, so he's good at that as well. Just in possession, just very press resistant, just not really feeling the pressure of anyone pressing him, really, taking the games by the scruff of the neck, making games his own, having man of the match performances. Played well at Anfield as well. He didn't deserve to be on the losing side at Anfield, neither did Lavia. Um, Played well against Arsenal. He's rising in the big games, especially. He's rising in the big games. Like I don't think he even think he's had a bad game this season. So from what I've watched anyway. So big up to Caicedo. Alongside him, obviously, I'm gonna go Ryan Gravenberch. Ryan Gravenberch, really standing out in that Liverpool side. Um, I do think he still needs help. I do think he still needs a DM, alongside him because Zubimendi and Gravenberch aren't the same players. Like if they had that two in midfield, they'd be even better than they are. I think Liverpool still need to sign a midfield in January, and then they're fine for me. But their squad is still quite small to carry on for what they have. But going back to Ryan Gravenberch again, when we're talking about standing out and rising when it matters and taking games by the scruff of the neck, being decent on the ball and having that more of a defensive responsibility due to the fact that Liverpool's midfield profile wise aren't naturally balanced. He's still doing everything he needs to do to just carry on this Liverpool team forward. His passing, the way he drives on the ball, them type of lanky midfielders that are good on the ball, just dribbling, gliding past players. He's one of them. And we're finally seeing the Ryan Gravenberch we saw when everyone was hyping him up as a wonder kid. We're finally seeing that type of player. So it's no surprise to me that he's playing the way he is. I've always rated him as a footballer. So none of this really surprises me. And if he carries on like this, then people are really going to eat their words. Like last season, it was a lot about McAllister. This season is about Gravenberch. It's just whether Liverpool can get that number 6 so they can have a fully fledged midfield to dominate games a bit more as well. Because I think a lot of the reason why they win the game is, it sounds dumb, but it's the basics in it. That they've got better attackers, so they're obviously going to be a bit more clinical, and their defensive structure is fantastic. So big up to Gravenberch. So those are the two like DMs. I've gone with two number 10s. The reason why I've gone with two number 10s, let me explain a bit. I was thinking about wingers and stuff like that as well. I don't think there's any wingers that stand out to me necessarily. In my opinion. Like last international break, you could have said Luis Diaz and Saka. You could have. You could say maybe Elanga and Hudson-Odoi are shout outs. You can maybe say Smith Rowe and Iwobi because they swap from left wing to number 10 quite a lot. They could be honourable mentions as well. I'm trying to think who else. You can still argue Salah. You could still argue, maybe you could argue Gakpo now because Gakpo's come in for Diaz. But I wanted to go with two players that have played consistently, in my opinion. Now, despite this guy coming under recent criticism, I still think he deserves to be in the team of the season overall, and that's Cole Palmer. And that's going to be a bit controversial because I've left out Saka, but I put Cole Palmer in. With Cole Palmer, for me, Yes, he does need to step it up in the big games. I think that's a fair criticism, but we've seen him step up in big games before. So I don't know whether that's necessarily a big worry for me. It's more for the fact that he's playing on the left number 10. In my opinion, when he's playing on the left number 10, for me, he doesn't play to his best in terms of like play to his best attributes. When he's on the right number 10, he's creating in different areas where he can really be fully fledged in his natural areas. But Cole Palmer's still a great player. That pass against Newcastle stands out to me as probably one of the best moments in the league so far. That's a terrific pass. If they can get a consistent winger front three combination, Chelsea, I think Cole Palmer would be getting a lot more, not even just assists, but a lot more passes like that where Chelsea can run him behind against teams and just score goals. And Cole Palmer's just, you want him in that number 10. You want him to just start taking games as it is. I think he needs to stop dropping deep though as well. I think he needs to stop dropping deep when like going to receive the ball with the defender specifically. I think if they're just passing the ball around and he drops deep and then he can pull a pass out like that against Newcastle, then fair enough. But I don't think he needs to drop deep as much as he actually does. But the next number 10 I've gone for, and I wanted to include this guy in badly because I think he's been terrific. Morgan Rogers. Top player. Top player. This is why you don't look down upon championship talent. Never ever look down upon championship talent. Never. You should never ever look down upon it. There's so many good players that come from the championship, and Morgan Rogers was one of them. He stood out. I think everyone really saw it mainly against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, even when they lost, when they got battered Middlesbrough. But this guy's been performing in the championship for a bit, well, for a season, and he got his move in January, and he doesn't feel pressure. He doesn't feel pressure. The big games are just any game to him. Like he doesn't change. Like he's just himself. Like when the spotlight's on him, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't affect his game, no matter what happens. So that's the main thing for me. And Emery has changed the system a bit. So what I'm trying to remember, what I'm trying to remember is the fact that, for example, in Emery's 4-2-3-1/4-4-2 system that usually deploys, like last season, McGinn would be almost like the inside from the right, but in possession as a number 10. Then Leon Bailey's like out of possession as second striker alongside Watkins, and then when they have the ball, he's on the wide right taking on players. Now he's changed the system on and off the ball, so not positionally, but like in terms of formation, but in terms of the fact that Rogers is just a straight number 10. They're 4-4-2 out of possession still. Morgan Rogers second striker, but he's just straight as a number 10, just staying in the middle. Like he was playing a lot more on the left when he first came in, and sometimes in the 10. But obviously, when you're a winger in Emery's system and you can play midfield, you're pretty much a number 10 anyway. That's sometimes where Tielemans was playing last season. Now Tielemans is playing deeper. And that also could have been Tielemans and Onana are also honourable mentions for the centre midfield roles that I could have put in. There's a lot of players that I could have put in the centre midfield roles. Like I even could have said Andreas fucking Pereira for fuck's sake. The guy's been playing in a double pivot, been playing well. I could have said a lot of players, but don't get me wrong, I haven't forgotten them as honourable mentions. But with Morgan Rogers, does well driving with the ball, has sat down at least about 6 midfielders that he's come up against. He did not deserve to be on that losing side in that Arsenal game. That's the game that really stands out. He really got at Thomas Partey and Declan Rice, I have to say. But Morgan Rogers deserved to be in it. I wanted to include both Palmer and Rogers. I couldn't leave Rogers out of the starting 11. So that's why I've gone with 2 strikers as well. It kind of makes this easier as well. I've still gone with Erling Haaland up front. And the reason why I've still gone with Erling Haaland up front is because he's the top goal scorer in the Premier League. And listen, shout out to Brian Mbeumo, like I missed out. Shout out to Yohan Wissa. Shout out to Raul Jimenez, Danny Welbeck, etc. But I've gone with Haaland. He's still on 12 goals. And listen, he doesn't really thrive without Kevin De Bruyne. Don't get me wrong. But this guy is still an elite goal scorer, and there can't be really much criticisms of him because the whole system is built around giving him service. The problem is the people like Bernardo Silva, people like Phil Foden, and the wingers that are on the pitch, they don't give Haaland enough service, and it's so specific into just timing it against his run. That's why defenders are always reading it nowadays. They're reading the ball before it even gets to Haaland. You see, when it gets to Haaland, it's a different conversation because a lot of defenders can't handle his physicality 1v1, especially the centre backs. But listen, it is what it is. Erling Haaland still deserves to be in the team of the season for still being the top goal scorer. The guy's still going to break records. The guy is going to be at one point probably the all-time Premier League top goal scorer. I guarantee it. Also, the other striker we've gone with another Nottingham Forest player. I have to go with Chris Wood. This guy has about 10 million lives in the Premier League. That's why I said shout out to Jimenez and Welbeck as well, because they've really been the guys who've found a new lease of life in this season as well. But Chris Wood, man, what a season he's having. What a season he's having, destroying teams at times, destroying defenses, like really suits Nuno Espirito Santo's system, like good link-up play at times as well, good work rate, like covering the spaces when they're defending as well. And obviously being a goal scorer that he is. He always scores against West Ham, but he's been scoring against a lot of teams this season. Really being clinical for the most part. Like, so I like credit to Chris Wood. That front three of Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, and Chris Wood with maybe Elliot Anderson behind them or Gibbs White behind them, like that's dangerous on the counter attack. And Chris Wood's been a big part of that. He just brings the wingers in as well. That's a big part of the game that not really many people talk about, but everyone talks about him in the air and him being the fox in the box, but he's also brought the wingers in to help him. So running behind and stuff like that as well. So that's why they made the front three. That's what's made the front three so dangerous. And credit to Chris Wood. Credit to Chris Wood, people. So that's the team of the season so far. Matt Sells, Ola Aina, Ibrahima Konate, Gabriel, Anthony Robinson, Gravenberch, Caicedo, Palmer, Rogers, Haaland, and Chris Wood. That is the team. Leave your teams in the comments below. Go with whatever formation you want to. That's why there's no rules, because I wasn't going to go 4-3-3. But anyway, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. The email for the inquiries. We're doing a darts watch along tomorrow at 7:30. So come and join me for that. Just even if you don't watch the darts, just come and interact in the chat, man. We're just going to have some fun, some banter. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.